Yes, everyone, you know what time it is. It's your boy Jack here at the IrishHotspur, and I'm going to be delivering you, everybody, just kind of a short here to discuss kind of a big sort of decision that Antonio Conte, I think, has to make this weekend. It's obviously kind of probably has to do with a bit of pressure that's coming from the fans, but also as well, just sort of kind of a bit of an elephant in the room type of problem or an elephant in the room type of situation that we have with absolutely one of our favorite players in this club and one of the best servants that we've had in a long time. A guy that even me myself over my Spurs, kind of fandom has been a huge servant, to me. And it's really hard to kind of talk about this, but everybody, this is going to be a video about maybe why Antonio Conte should probably drop Sonny for this upcoming match against West Ham. So I know there's kind of, a lot of, maybe news that were about, the financial stuff from yesterday, but we touched on that pretty heavily, everybody. So I don't want to kind of regurgitate that or give you kind of anything that's a repetition. So this is sort of just a something that's going to be a bit of a selection sort of decision about this weekend and kind of just giving you my thoughts on it. So I really am here today to talk about Sonny. I do think this really needs to be spoken about because the attack is losing its spark recently, and we need someone to take maybe that creative burden off of the likes of Harry Kane. I think Harry Kane is starting to get kind of maybe a bit found out with the fact that he obviously is our main creator, and we need someone else to help him out. Because also, let's be honest, Kulusevski hasn't been too great as of the last few games. I know we all love Sonny, so this is hard to talk about or say, and can be a touchy subject. So everybody, do hear me out, please. But if you still disagree, or even if you agree, of course, please, please, please do make sure to leave your comments down below, everybody, because I think this is something we really do pride ourselves on this channel. We want everybody to have their opinions heard. Even if you have a difference of opinion, do feel comfortable and putting it there, because I would love to see them. I want to hear everybody on this, whether you think I'm right or wrong or somewhere in the middle. Feel free to put your comments down below. And also as well, let's try to get this to 100 likes, maybe, if we can as well. That would be a massive support as well for this channel, everybody. But before I kind of go over maybe just whether Antonio Conte has to drop Sonny for this upcoming weekend, let's just maybe talk about maybe what's maybe gone wrong with Sonny this season, right? And maybe how maybe Antonio Conte has perhaps changed something that maybe has reflected sort of Sonny's maybe troubles this season. So far this season, Sonny has played 21 matches in the Premier League. He's had 20 starts, so he's only not started one match so far in the Premier League. And he has 4 goals and 3 assists. That'd be 7 goal contributions so far across 20 starts in the Premier League. In the FA Cup, he has 2 matches played and 2 starts there with 2 goals and 0 assists. Of course, he had that massive brace for us very, very recently. Champions League, he's played 7 matches in the Champions League thus far and has had 2 goals and 0 assists. He's had, I think, mixed kind of bag in the Champions League, pretty good performances, I do recall, but also maybe some ones that were maybe a bit left wanting. But then actually last season, kind of around a similar stage last season, he had 19 starts in the Premier League and was on 9 goals and 4 assists. So where he has had 20 starts this season on 4 goals and 3 assists, the assists are around a similar mark, but he had 5 more goals at this stage last season. Now it's probably actually fewer than maybe some people expected, and also maybe puts a bit of context to how much we expect out of Son, and also the levels, right, that we expect from this guy who really has an elite level out of him. And it's also, let's be honest, I mean, what are we talking about? The last Premier League top Golden Boot winner. So this is a guy that, of course, we know can produce a whole lot better. So this is why we're even having this conversation, let's be honest, in the first place. Last season as well, at this stage, of course, last season, he had 2 matches played in the FA Cup and had 0 goals and 0 assists, in case you needed to know. But maybe the big difference, right, is those 5 extra goals that he had in the Premier League. And the question I really want to be answering is what do you think Sonny is doing wrong? And is that maybe contributing to his scoring troubles? And has maybe Conte, changed something from last season that's contributing to the winger's woes, everybody? And so maybe I'm going to go about this in a lot of different ways, and some of it you might disagree with, some of it you might agree with. So again, please feel free to leave your comments down below and what you might think. And also, let's smash that like button. Kane is being, I think, more tightly marked this season than he was last season. So it's really finding himself or it's finding it very hard, I think, to get turned, Harry Kane, which means for Son, I think he's being asked a lot more to get into the game and being asked to drop deeper, help out with us getting, up the pitch more. He's helping out with the progressive play and kind of the link up play and, helping the team, progress higher up the pitch. Whereas maybe in previous seasons, Sonny was asked to be kind of almost that guy is sitting on sometimes the last defender, maybe, looking to get him behind more, not as much maybe trying to get involved in some of the development play and some of the play that was helping you get up the pitch, let's say. And also, I think maybe before in the past when Sonny was a bit younger and had that drive, I think he actually wasn't all that bad, even when asked to maybe do some of that kind of, build up play and some of that, dynamic work from out the back. But I feel like now, maybe he's lost it, or perhaps maybe he struggles to do it maybe in the same way he could have done it when he was like 26 or 25 or whatever. Again, maybe you might disagree with me here, but it does seem like he has sort of struggled with being asked to, help out Harry Kane with, maybe trying to get us out from the back from some of those deeper areas. And, I know we always have depended on players like Harry Kane to drop deep, get his man turned and whatnot. But let's be honest, I feel like recently he's being so much more tightly marked, as we even see recently. He's being fouled, I feel like, a lot. And referees, you hear me on the watch alongs. I mean, they're not giving him very much, at least in my biased opinion. They're not giving him very much, and they're being very, kind of harsh on Harry Kane and not giving him a whole lot of fouls to really help us out and get out. But, he's getting very tightly marked, double, marked, triple teamed at times. And, then leaves then that other players are going to have to take up a bit of that creative burden. So when it feels like, Son is then dropping deeper, he's kind of struggled maybe with being, taking that creative burden off of Harry Kane, because he's so much naturally better at being able to run in behind and get behind that defense. Son, I do also feel like needs to have the ball kind of facing goal. Like he needs to be able to already have his body face towards goal when picking it up. He does seem to maybe struggle when his back is towards the goal. I think that's for a few reasons, mostly because his skill set, maybe with how he approaches the game, has always been maybe geared more towards being on the front foot and also being kind of, receiving the ball facing his defender instead of receiving the ball with his back towards goal. Doesn't seem to have maybe all the moves that Kulusevski or Kane have with being able to spin or turn his man, but also as well, he doesn't really have the strength as maybe Kulusevski or Kane do with being able to turn his man either if he wants to. He's very tricky, very shifty, of course, but maybe has lost maybe that a little bit of step of pace and that little bit of extra, burst of pace, but also maybe doesn't have the strength as well to be able to muscle off his man in case they try to pull on him or drag him or anything. And this has, I think, kind of affected us where we are asking him to drop deep, but when he is dropping deep, it's not like, he's facing goal. His back is towards goal, and we need him to be able to help us get higher up the pitch. But it ends up, maybe where he's not been very effective in these areas. I feel like he's losing the ball in deep positions, which doesn't really help us, because when you are a winger and you are losing balls in deep positions, it kind of gets you further put under pressure. It gets you further pressed back. And then as well, I think Sonny, be honest, might be a bit harsh here, but he doesn't really always do, I think, the best effort to try to win the ball back, even after he loses it, too. He's always kind of pulling out of challenges, not always, but sometimes pulling out of challenges and whatnot. You might think I'm being harsh here, and I'll admit to it. But, another thing I kind of want to touch on, too, is I feel like maybe recently we pointed this out in the watch alongs and whatnot with Sean and Dave, is that he's trying too hard, I feel like, to recapture his form from last season. He needs to go back to the basics where he just needs to be able to lay the ball off, spin his defender, and then go on a run in behind, and someone will find him or drop into maybe another position to receive the ball after laying it off. Because even in the most recent game, like his first touch is fine, his second touch is fine, his third touch is fine, but he struggles, I think, to just do the simple thing right, where it's just give it to your man, lay it off to somebody, or, give it to somebody who's clearly asking for it. Like there was a few stages where I feel like he had a great first touch, second touch, holding off his man and everything. And then he has Papa Matasar right there, asking for it. And he tried then to spin his man, and then he lost it afterwards. It's like you did everything right before that moment, my man. And then you tried to make it more complicated, or you were just, like I said, trying to do too much, trying too hard to recapture your form. And I think that's something that Sonny could maybe just kind of, take a look at. Maybe go back to the basics a little bit because you're a great player, you're an elite player. Just make it a little bit easier on yourself. You don't need to do everything anymore. Like you used to be able to do everything, and you can do everything, but make it easier on yourself, if you know what I mean. And I feel like if he did do that, we would also be able to do exactly what Antonio Conte is asking him to do, which is take some of that creative burden off of Harry Kane, be able to hold the ball up when you have a defender right on you, lay it off to others, get that sort of creative burden off of him, and be that guy that isn't just running in behind and kind of receiving those passes through the lines and being that sort of ruthless assassin finisher that we all know he's terrific at. Help out with the creative burden because it does seem like people maybe have found out Harry Kane. They've also found out, let's say, just the system where they do know that he is one of the best strikers in the world at being able to create for others. And maybe they've determined that Sonny isn't actually capable as much of creating for others as he is for creating for himself. And he maybe struggles at being able to create for kind of, other players from those deeper areas. I think he can create for others when he's facing goal, when we're on the front foot on the counterattack. But maybe when they're in those deeper areas and we need the link up play to be a bit better, we need to sort of be on the same page and, progressing from, deep, tight areas. He's not really been very effective and he has struggled with it. Whereas you would say maybe a player like Harry Kane is very effective at it and is very good at it. It's just something I think Sonny's going to have to learn, or it's something that maybe we're just going to have to consider that Sonny at this moment in time maybe just isn't very good at it, and it's just not really within his skill set. So what is maybe the solution for this problem that I brought up here? I do maybe think more creative wingbacks that can maybe help the team with progressing up the pitch would help Son out a lot more. I'll be honest, I think Perisic has had in and out games, so Sonny has also been kind of hurt or influenced by that, where you could say Perisic gives it away maybe a bit too often. Sometimes it's just trying to force it when it doesn't need to be forced. And also, as well, I think if maybe Sonny, like we said, has been struggling with taking some of that, sort of creative burden and getting us out from those deep areas with his back to goal with a defender right on him, maybe having a really good sort of wing back that can help us in those situations would sort of make his life a bit easier. So if we had maybe had Udogie this season, that could maybe have helped us a lot, because I think Perisic and Sessegnon, let's say, the best sort of wing backs to be able to help him in that regard. So a much more creative wing back that would be able to help us progress up the pitch, I think definitely would be a good solution for helping out Son with this sort of trouble that he's facing. He could also be a lot stronger on the ball, like the likes of Kulusevski, or he could be able to develop that sort of passing range that's maybe more similar to Harry Kane to get us out of trouble, which would again be able to help us get out from some of those deeper positions. So it's kind of not really asking me to do both, where, develop more strength or be able to, be a bit better with holding off your defender with your back to goal, or developing that pass maybe more like Harry Kane. I just think maybe one or the other. Maybe develop some more skills, flush it out more with figuring out how to work your defender with your back towards goal and being able to hold it up for us, or maybe pick your head up a bit more, pick your head up a bit earlier and being help us in the creativity department, kind of like Harry Kane does. It's like not really asking him to do both, just really asking him to do one or the other, because Kulusevski is great at holding off his marker, being really strong on the ball and holding up the ball for us, and then from there helping us get out from these deep areas. Whereas Harry Kane kind of does that, but he also is really good at being able to find those passes ahead of time, picking up his head ahead of time and getting us out from those deep areas. So I feel like Sonny could do one or the other, and then that would be a great solution. Also, just a more creative wing back. Also, just quickly, just to reflect that Sonny has maybe had his troubles this season, is that even on FB Ref, if you compare him to all attacking midfielders and wingers in the Premier League, Sonny's in the top 10 percentile for shots total as well as shots on target per match, which does mean he is getting a decent amount of shots, I would say, compared off to other players of his position. So it's not like he's deprived of shots or even shots on target. While taking plenty of shots too, Sonny is also underperforming his XG this season in the Premier League. Sonny has 4 goals so far scored in the Premier League, but his XG has him actually at 4.9, which basically means he has been expected to score at least close to one more goal this season. He hasn't had the same plethora of chances that I think he did last season, but some might argue maybe he has not been sort of as ruthless as he probably was last season as he is this season. And so to get to the question here, with Danjuma, of course, very hungry to take his chance, and Richarlison back from injury, should Antonio Conte drop Sonny for West Ham. I do think he should. I feel like earlier this season, there was probably more excuses for Antonio Conte not to drop Sonny because it was very early in the season. You want to give a really elite player like Sonny that sort of time, that sort of benefit of the doubt, a great servant for us. But also as well, Lucas was injured, basically been non-existent. Richarlison was injured a lot, and Brian Hill wasn't really trusted all that much, despite being Hill Messi. Defense is, I also feel like, a real issue right now. So it is kind of, we're in a fragile position. I don't feel like we can continue to lose the ball in these deeper positions that Sonny sometimes has, continued to do, and even in certain games often has done. And it's really put the defense, I think, under further pressure. And with how fragile they are, just simply can't do it any longer. Attack has become stale as well. And so I do feel like we just need fresh ideas, fresh blood, just fresh perspective. And I don't think that's going to come with, persisting with the same front three. Someone who can't really do what Son is being asked to do, or maybe, I feel like someone who's just maybe more comfortable with being able to do some of these things that Sonny is struggling with. Like I said, holding up the ball with his back towards goal, or being able to help out, with some of that creativity and breaking the lines and being that, eye for, helping out others with a pass, or, maybe seeing a first time ball in behind or whatever it may be. I think Sonny has struggled, maybe with that this season, and who maybe be able to step in and do that certainly would be a huge help. But I have backed Sonny, everybody, for a very long time. And this does maybe, I would say, pose as a difficult conversation. And I know I've rambled on a bit here. And so I've tried to sort of kind of come at it from both sides, as well as not really being too harsh on this. But I do feel like right now we do maybe need a more physical player in the team to take Sonny's position, because Sonny's being asked to do more of a physical role at the moment as a left winger. And I do feel like maybe we just also need just fresh ideas, just fresh blood. But those are my thoughts. And at the very end of the day, I do really want everybody just put their comments down below. These are just opinions of mine, and I do really encourage you guys to disagree, to agree, or to just put your comments down below and give me your thoughts on this sort of situation. Especially if you do disagree, everybody, do let me know why, because we do encourage a difference of opinions over here. Don't get too upset about it. So everybody, like I said, leave your comments down below. Hit that like button on your way. I do want us to get to 100 likes, please, if we can. But as always, come on, you Spurs. And in Conte, I trust. And I will be seeing ya.